Hey guys, how's it going? Younger 9-year-old guys. First off, thanks for checking out the channel. As always, feel free to like, share, subscribe, go take a look at some other videos. So what are the two of the most common complaints whenever it comes to an AK pattern rifle? Number one, they're not accurate, and number two, it's hard to mount optics to compared to an AR-15 with the full-length rail on the top, most modern-day AR-15s. Now, there's a product out there that solves both of those issues, one more than the other, and we're going to talk about it. The Ultimak rail system, I'm sure most of you big AK guys already know what it is. This is just going to be my interpretation of a review and of an install. Whether it helps you or not, thanks. If you appreciate the video, give us a thumbs up. So the Ultimak is a nice system. It basically replaces your front gas block, and I will show you it on the rifle. I've already installed it, but again, we're going to do the video, and I'm going to show you guys here in a minute how to install. We're going to go through all that. Now you guys can see that I mounted a little micro red dot on here, and that is the benefit to this, is that you can mount the red dot up here, and this particular red dot is the Primary Arms MD ADS, or you could go with an Aimpoint T2 Micro or a Holosun or any of those, and they're going to co-witness with your irons. Now a Trijicon MRO will not co-witness with your irons, but of course you can run a quick detach and get that off there if you need to, but it's nice to co-witness them with your irons, and that's what this Ultimak allows you to do. Also, if you're running a gun such as this Arsenal SLR 104FR with a side-folding stock, it doesn't get in your way. Most guns, most AKs, if you're going to mount something, you're going to use this rail here, and you're going to put like an RS Regulate that's going to come over the top. And though the RS Regulate is quick detach, the downside to that is that if you do ever want to use this gun in like a battle situation or anything like that, and you decide to fold the stock, you have to keep track of that optic, and then whenever it's time to go, you pull your stock out and then you put your optic on. Opposed to with this, the Ultimak is always there, so it doesn't affect the functionality of the folding stock or any of that stuff, and it works great. You don't have to worry about popping it off or anything like that. And as I said, most optics, most small little red dots will co-witness with it. And it's just a nice little system here. As far as reliability, it doesn't affect reliability. It's still plenty reliable. Some people would speculate that it adds a little bit of accuracy. I haven't necessarily seen that, but I would say that it's not any less accurate than it was before. This gun is plenty capable of shooting about 1 3/4 groups at 100 yards. It's typically what I get whenever I throw an RS Regulate with a 3 to 9 scope on here and shoot at 100 from the bench rest. It's a great system. I have the one with the vent holes. That's just the one I chose. You can pretty much run one or the other. Some people don't like the vent holes because of aesthetics, but I don't necessarily mind them. AKs are typically over gas. It doesn't affect reliability. And as again, some people speculate that it adds accuracy. I don't necessarily think it does, but whether you think it does or it doesn't, it definitely doesn't take any accuracy away. So that's the benefit to it. It's a great mounting system. Some tools that you're going to need to mount it: a little set of pliers. I used a set of Welpers. It's going to come with the proper Allen key, and then a little pocket level. Also a rag and some oil so you can oil up the parts whenever you're done. It's a nice mounting system, and without further ado, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the install on it. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, step one in putting the Ultimak on is obviously you want to make sure that your weapon is safe and unloaded, no mag in it, this gun is empty. Also, being that this is an Arsenal, something that's worthy of note is it has the cleaning rod mounted on the bottom here. You want to take that off. I already took it off the video just to save a couple minutes in this video because it is going to be slightly long. Now, the first thing you want to do, well, the second thing you want to do after you verify safe and take that cleaning rod off, if that applies to you, is you want to pop your dust cover off. So you just pop your dust cover off, and then at that point, you just pull your recoil spring out, and then you can take your bolt carrier group and pop that out. Now, I do use the bolt carrier group as a tool. You see this little notch, this little lever here. You're going to want to pull it up. I was taught always to use the rail in your bolt carrier group and just slide that down on there and use that for leverage, and then you can just pop that up, and it works pretty nice actually. You get it up there and you're good to go. And then you can just set your bolt carrier group to the side, and at that point you should be able to just pop off your upper handguard, your gas tube, and you can sit that to the side. Now at this point you're going to need a little pair of pliers, is what I like to use. Some guys like to use a screwdriver, and come in over here and show them this. You're going to want to take this lever and you're going to want to just pull it up. So you want it to pretty much be straight up, and at this point you can just push this back. It may take a little bit of assistance. Obviously it helps if you push that down, and then that pops right off, and then your lower part of your handguard should just slide right off. Now this is the factory furniture with the heat shields in it, the factory arsenal furniture. Now at this point, pretty much what you can do is you can start to install the Ultimak. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pretty much sit your Ultimak down on here, and it's going to have some play in it, both forward and rearward. You guys see how loose that is in here? It's supposed to be like that. It's just like how whenever you get on a bridge, there's those metal little ridges. It's basically for expansion and contraction, because this thing is going to heat up and cool down, so it gives it some room to go. So you're just going to start to install your little screws. And you don't need to tighten these all the way at this point. You just want to get them started so you can use it as pretty much a guide. Okay, so we got this screw in. Go ahead and pop the next screw in. Okay, now at this point, you can put your front section on and start to screw it in. And then put your fourth and final screw in the other side. And again, we're just getting them started. Okay, so once you get the Ultimak loosely screwed on here, again, there is some play in here. That's to alleviate the heat and stuff like that, because it's going to heat up and contract. Then you're going to take your lower handguard of choice. I'm just using my factory Arsenal USA made handguard with the metal heat shields in it. So you're just going to place that in here and slide it all the way in. At this point, you can bring your piece back down here and slide it into place. And then what I like to do is pop out these screws. That's why we didn't tighten them all the way in the first one. So you're just going to take them out. Okay, at this point you can pretty much just remove the Ultimak, and the reason why you're going to need to remove the Ultimak, or why I choose to do so, is so you can get your piece back on here, because it can be a little bit of a pain sometimes to get this piece all the way lined up in here and held down good. And then once you get it pressed in there pretty good, you can just take your pliers or whatever tool of choice you use, and you can just flip this back down. Okay, so once you get that back down, what you're going to do is put the Ultimak back on here. Now again, there's some play in there. We'll solve that here in a minute. You're going to reinstall all 4 of your screws. And I don't choose to use Loctite, because in the Ultimak manual, and you guys can look this up if you don't believe me or whatever, they actually say that you don't have to use Loctite, because these screws are supposed to stay in place. Now obviously, if they do start to come loose, you may want to Loctite them, but from what I was reading as far as what other people do and what I've been doing is not using the Loctite. But again, that's personal preference. If you choose to do so, you can. So we're just going to put them on there pretty much just to hold it in place for a minute, and then we're going to tighten them a little further after we get them all on there, you know. Of course, you want to make sure you take your time, don't get in a hurry. because you can strip this out, and that would suck. Okay, and now we can put our last one in. At this point, you can pretty much just go around and pretty much just don't snug them, but you know, get them pretty close. Okay, at this point what we're going to do is we're going to take care of the play that's in the Ultimak. Now of course I went a little too tight, which is no big deal. You just give them all a little bit of a loosen, maybe a quarter turn, just to make sure you have room for play. And so there's that much play in there. Just basically just eyeball it pretty much and split the difference, you know, make it you know, make there be the same size gap in the front as in the back. Now this doesn't have to be, you know, super precise or anything like that. I mean, it's an AK, but you know, as long as you get it pretty close, you should be good to go. And then you can give all the screws a little bit of a snug. And then at this point, you just want to make sure that it's somewhat level. Now again, I just use a regular level. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get it, the better off you are. So I just go off of the lower receiver. It's somewhat level. And my Ultimak needs to go that way. So somewhat level. Okay, so we're pretty good as far as this being level and that being level, so it's pretty proportional to each other. Again, it's not that big of a deal. Once you tighten these down, it pretty much puts it where it needs to be. At this point, you can just go around, and I like to just go corner to corner and snug them. So that one's tight, we'll go to the opposite corner, just like as if you were tightening screws on your car. You always want to use a star type pattern whenever you're tightening. And then we can go to this one, tighten it down, and then to this one, tighten it down. Now you don't have to kill these, just make them pretty tight, and that's pretty much that. We're centered up there, we're pretty level, and then from here it's just easy peasy. Again, I like to use the rail on this, and we will just slide this down into where she goes. We will take our bolt and we will slide her in here where she goes. We'll take our recoil spring, slide her in here where she goes. Our dust cover, in here where she goes. And then pretty much at this point, just function checkered rifle, verify safe. Obviously it's not going to affect our safety, but our action works, and that's what matters. And then at this point, you can mount pretty much whatever optic you want. Most guys that are running the optic or running the Ultimak are typically going to run a red dot, such as like a primary arms or a Aimpoint T2. The Trijicon MROs, I have saw guys mounting them up here on the front, but the problem with those are that typically they don't co-witness. Now, co-witnessing is something that each person values a little bit differently. I myself prefer like a quick detach mount, because if my optic goes down, typically it's, you know, something that I would rather just pop the quick release and get it off there and use my backup iron. So I don't necessarily value co-sighting or co-witnessing, excuse me, as much as other people do, but it is something that is valuable. So that's a pretty much quick show and tell how to put on the Ultimak. Stay tuned for more footage. If this video helped you out a little bit or you enjoyed it, feel free to like, share, subscribe, go share with some of your friends. I appreciate all the support. God bless, and thanks.